Hello everybody, welcome again on the live stream today, Thursday. We have a nice evening here. I hope you're doing all well. I'm checking here. I want to do a live stream with two subjects, Punch-2 and also SubBoomBass-2. We had, of course, 2 weeks no live stream. That had a reason. My mother had to move to a nursery room, so a little bit busy with other things, but everything is okay. And yeah, we are back here for another live stream. Let me check if the audio is cool for you guys. Just play a few things here, and you hear my mouse moving around. Let's go up here. Yes. Okay, I can see the chat room that went last time not so good. I can see, yeah, somebody pop up already in the chat room. And yeah, we had 2 weeks of no live stream, but we are back again, as you can see. Yeah, SubBoomBass, Punch, that's the subject for today. Let's open Punch. And what I wanted to show you in Punch-2 is the models, because yes, we regularly get some information, some questions from people saying, yeah, how many samples are in Punch-2, and they ask about the amount of gigabytes and that kind of thing, and then I or the office or myself have to reply and say, well, it's not about samples only, it's also about making slices, but also a pure drum synthesizer. So what we do, how we create the drum sounds, very often is pure synthesis. Yeah, the mouse is very loud. You hear that? And it's because of the microphone. And otherwise the mouse doesn't respond. Yeah, I have here a little beat, and the snare, for instance, that's a good example. This is using Model 1, which is essentially a synthesizer, little synthesizer, like it's built in an 808 or a 909 or any other analog drum machine, how a snare is created, or maybe even for the older analog organs where the rhythm boxes, you know. So I play here one note, and that triggers this pad number D1. And there you have the snare, little analog type of snare. And you see it has a waveform, sinus waveform. I can change it to a triangle. Sounds a little bit different. Do you hear that? But let's stick to the sine waveform. Well, a snare is essentially the underneath you have some little metal parts, which in Dutch they call it a matje, or a, I'm not knowing the English word for it, but so let's show you how a snare is composed and how it's done in Punch-2. I kick a little bit harder than volume of the snare. And you see here we have the basic sound is this pluck, what you hear. Now, let me shut down the volume of the noise, because that's the second component. So you have a pluck and you have a noise to create a snare drum with a analog modeled type of synthesizer. And here we have the pluck, which is, you see the bass tuning? See here, you can make it even tuned. I didn't have it tuned. So I really... And the pluck is made essentially by very fast envelopes. So very fast envelopes are important, and it's done by a drop in the pitch. So here in the drop, I can make it longer and also make the curve different. You see it change here? Now, this is nothing like a snare, of course, but you hear that the pitch goes down. Pew, pew. Well, essentially, if you beat a real snare on its skin, it does the same. It goes very high, from a high movement to a lower movement, which generates this pluck. Of course, you need to make that very fast, and you can do it two ways, by very fast decay setting, but also very fast curve setting, exponential curve. And now you hear, you have this pluck. Well, that's one component of the snare. The other component is then the noise. And I can add it. And there you have a snare. Now, what we did additionally is in the pluck section, so where you create this pluck sound, this having a high-pass filter, because what is very often is that you get a lot of low end. And this low end only eats energy, so you can cut away a little bit of this low end. And in Punch-2 we added also, which was not inside the original Punch, is an overtone, which is essentially a fifth tuning, which is above the main tuning. So here, this is the main tuning. Adds a little bit of overtone. And you also heard we use a sinus wave. If I would use a saw wave, that's no snare anymore. So the sinus wave is very good in combination with the noise. Or, for instance, the triangle. It's a little bit different. And you see, if you play this in the music, you have a snare. Of course, I did edit it, I changed it a little bit and can make the length different. So this is a very short snare, but you can make the noise longer. But you see the noise uses a bandpass filter. This is the current setting. But also has its own filter envelope. And there's a total amp control, which is this one. So you really can hear that if you make it too short, you only hear the noise. So this is the amp for the pluck. And the noise, this is an extra filter envelope, which is on the filter, but I don't think that it is activated. No, it's not activated. You can make it go rise. I personally don't use this that often, but it's possible. So if I go back to the original one, so there we have again the original. Okay. Okay, let's remove the kick. I went back to the original sound, so I need to remove from this sequence. Now we again have only the snare. You see it pop up here. Here I can add it, and here we have it as it was. So again, it's a pluck created by this tone here, which has also a certain tuning you can do. Very, very fast pitch envelope. You have a total length control, so I could make the snare longer. Also with the noise. But it's of course up to you how you like to. And you could change the waveform triangle. Sounds a little more distorted. Tuning you can change. So you have all kind of tones. And what is also interesting, if you use, each pad has its own distortion. So here you have the volume. We also have distortions. You could also add a little bit of distortion because essentially this synth model is very clean. And if you take a real analog circuit from a real analog machine, it always has a little bit of distortion. It's not as clean as digital. So you can give it a little edge here by using one of the distortions. Let's see how it plays in the music. Another one. That's too much. Fuzz. Just a tiny bit. The room. Yeah, you always get the kind of Kraftwerk sound. Yeah, this sounds a little bit like the Crosshair snares or the early records where they also created their own snares with using analog synthesizers. So Punch-2 is far more than only using samples. It's a really drum synthesizer. So let's go back again to the noise. Let the noise longer. This noise filter envelope is changing the filter here. Goes the filter down. And it has a rise. Then it goes up again. So you can make really weird sounds. All possible. So this drop means that it controls the cutoff frequency, the filter envelope drop. Yeah, and then there is stereo spread. You can make this noise stereo. You open it, and then you give it a little offset. You can hear it now, the noise is stereo. Let's make it a little longer. So this is mono, stereo snare. So yeah, many options inside Punch-2. And essentially that's the same with the clap. You can create your own claps. Let's see where we... Oh, by the way, this is also a nice one. This is also a model. Oh, you hear my keyboard clacking, but this has a nice distortion to it. And this one uses the fold over. You see this fold over? Makes it a little bit edgier. So, but the clap. So, you see there's another one. Let's see if I can find the claps. Ah, here we have claps. And that is also a synthesizer model. I think also with this preset. I'm lost my mouse now. The snare of the Lin 9000. No, they are all samples. The Lin drum is all samples. And this one uses Model 3. So what you do is essentially, if I go with the repeats, it uses 3. If I go very slow, essentially is the saw repeating. It modulates by a saw, which makes the clapping. Yeah, I use very often 3. You can use more. And what is cool, of course, and that's not the case with the original 808, we can go stereo here as well. And let me see if this one has the repeats with an offset and spread. Yeah, here's the spread. Now it's a mono clap. You can hear really a mono clap. I open spread, and you have it stereo, left, right. You can even change the offset of the speed. Yeah, you see, I use the bandpass filter. Humanization, that it has a little variations on decay, volume. So, I mean, that's what you can do. You have far more options in Punch-2 because it's a drum synthesizer. Of course, yeah, you see all these parameters, so you need to be a little bit in depth with synthesis. We have, of course, a lot of presets. So if you go here to the pad preset, each pad has also presets. You see type clap, and we have the folder, which uses models. And then we have all kind of models. A live 1, 2, and these are all models. And you hear the variation here, the humanization. Especially in the music, it's cool. So think about this as a Super 808 in which you can control the parameters a lot. Of course, an 808 has a little bit different in sound, and of course it's not precise how it's done in the 808, but you get very close in the approach of it. Okay, and then of course you can add effects to it. And yeah, even the noise gives a little bit of a reverb sound of it. Yeah, and then we have the bass drums, which are also, this one is a model. And there you can say, okay, I want to have a longer. You have also the overtone. And what we did with Punch-2, if you have the bass drum down here, the first one, the first pad, in the upper keyboard, you can play notes with it. I don't think you can see my keyboard with the upper section, I think, but I'm playing in the upper range. So you essentially could do a tuned bass. So yeah, Punch-2 is very powerful, and yeah, you see all kind of different pages, and you see also Model 1 has a particular part down here not. Model 2 has the additional things here, so there are many variations in the different models for making your own bass drum, clap, percussion sounds, because this one, where is it? It's also synthesis. It's using this stereo swap feature. So also this is not a sample. So a lot of cool things can be done. Okay, I'm checking out the chat room. If there's maybe any question about Punch-2, let me know. So Punch-2, it's synthesis, drum synthesizers, samples, and also slice. It can slice things. And we made some, in the latest, we had some new presets in the latest version, which also slices some of the, let me see where we can find them. Yeah, the plastic bottle stuff things. So the tempo is a bit too high. That's the slice. So I need to have a different tempo. So I go to a 105 tempo. And here you see the slice, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we created, of course, good videos in the playlist of Punch-2. There are good videos about how to use Punch-2 because it's very sophisticated, tons of options. But if you check then the tutorials, you get your head around it, and then you will understand how the basic concept is. So now you see slice. These are the, if I go to the edit page, you can see this is the slice. So it's I can play it also. Preview sample, which is loaded. This is the original thing. But I adjusted, I muted some of these slices. And as you can see in the main, you see that some slices, like slice 5, is muted. If you combine this together with the other ones, you get a different groove. And I did some marching run here. Let me see if we play one of these. Also using the slice. Yeah, there's so much inside of this super drum machine. I think in terms of features, there's nothing equal to Punch-2 currently on the market in what you all can do in synthesis, slice, using samples, using your own samples. Okay, I'm checking the chat room. Hello, everybody, and it's good to have you guys back. We had 2 weeks not a live stream because of circumstances, but we are back again. So if you have a question, drop it. Today I'm talking about Punch-2. We start with about the synthesis story about it. And now I show you the slices. So each pad is then a slice. In this case, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's also the keyboard layout. If you go to the pattern page here, you can see we use a pattern setup, but if you have the audition mode, you can see how it's all built up. So that's groove 1. This is groove 2, groove 3. And if you hit the A3, it triggers the slices. Now, audition means that everything plays as it is selected here. So if I press audition, okay, if I press loop, and if you have audition sequence, then it plays, you see, first groove this one, then that one, then you got a more song build up of the groove. And still, if you hit the note, you see here builds up. Okay, I see a question. Is better to clone the snare with different filter or use automation? I'm not sure what you mean by cloning of the snare. Is it a real snare or a analog type of snare? Yeah, these are from the new presets, which we, well, I think a couple of months ago already. And so the Mark thinks it's very cool. Tempo is too high, and you need to have tempo 9-1. Okay. Yeah, that's another cool one. And here you see bass drum, an analog type bass drum used in this groove also appears. And that's the cool thing. Even if you make these sequences play things, you still can use the keyboard with the first 24 pads. Okay, I see a snare of Punch-2. Yeah, you have the analog snare. Use a filter last. Maybe you mean with a real snare. So if I go, this is a cymbal. Let's say that we take here a snare. Okay. This uses the model. Let's take a real clean snare. Okay, let's root. Well, this is a little acoustic, maybe. This is more a nice, sweet. Yeah, sure. If you have this one, you can use the filter. This one has the filter off. But for instance, you could use a notch filter to give it a bit more change in sound if you use velocity. So. And here I open the velocity to the frequency. here, change it a little bit. And yeah, you can go any way with this. See, this is how you see the snare shown. You can tune it, use grain. Makes it totally different, isn't it? And still, also on this snare, you can use distortion. Making copies of a same snare with different filter settings. Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, one way what you could do is, of course, if you have, you see all the banks here, but here you could use your user. In this folder you could save your own preset, and then reselect that on a different pad. Let me see if we have a copy pad. So if you go over the main menu, go to the main menu and have pad 1, you can copy a pad. So that's still possible. And then you could add that pad again. So if you would say, where is this snare I had? Oh, there it is. And you say, okay, I want to have that also on 13. Let's give it a try. I have pad 12. Copy pad to number 13. Okay, I copy that. And now I have it, you see, on pad 13, it's now also the same snare. And you could change that one, make that a little bit different. They have two different ones. That's still an option. Yeah, that's what I just did, Bill Smith. Yeah. So these are functions. Yeah, sometimes they are a little bit hidden, but so if you go over this label, pad 14, and then you see you can set it to a different type of sound, but also you can copy a pad or unsolo pad, mute pad, the things you also see, but also the copy function is there. If you have a question, just ask. I mean, that's why we do this, of course. When I press the original, it loads in. I'm back again. So the keyboard layout. Now I play A3, which is only playing the slice. If I go to the slice menu, you can see that, and that's cool if you can mute one of the slices just by muting the pad. And you can say combine slices, and then you change for all the slices, for instance, the filter. Or the length of the sound, the decay. So now, because I have combined slices, then I change for all of the pads which use the slices, the decay. Or the tuning. Or grains. Yeah, you see, you can do so many cool things with it. Yeah, Bill Smith, check out the tutorials. So we have on YouTube, we have the playlist, and in the playlist you see Predator 3 playlist, SubBoomBass-2 playlist, but also Punch-2 playlist. There are many videos which I did tutorials because, yeah, it's a very sophisticated machine. has tons of options, and I tried to explain it as good as much as possible. And once you get the concept of it, it's not that extreme complex. It only has many options, just like your music sequencer, which very often has tons of options. So let me see if I have another one. Let's show. No, that one doesn't use a slice. But water, I sampled water here together with Mike, my son. We did a whole session with. Hear that? You got some. Hey, and that's also cool. If you think, oh, this is a cool groove, but I don't like all the sounds, then you simply mute them. You think, I don't want all this water stuff going on, then you simply mute everything. Or this low thing, mute. And it's also by hitting starting these sequencers. So if I go to the pattern, you see this uses audition mode. Then you see the keyboard layout. Groove 3 is only a snare. And if you have a sequencer playing, you can start this groove. Let's go to the original one, because now I muted maybe too much. Of course, them. Okay. One second, because I need to mute some things here, otherwise I cannot play it. So it's also cool to trigger things. And you still can play here. So even if you start triggering the sequences, the built-in sequence, you still can play all the 24 pads. Yeah, let's do... it's water sound, yeah, definitely. August Groove, there are many samples and also presets using... Let me see if there's another one. So even string model, by the way. This one uses string model. So there's so much in this machine. It's ridiculous. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good thing. This lately bass looks like the 90s bass, but that's the one from the latest bank from SubBoomBass. You hear that one? Yeah. So let me see if I can have a big... Well, let's take here bass drum. So I select here bass drum. And go a little bit up tempo. Now we have SubBoomBass-2, and that's one of the side trance basses. Very similar to a lately bass, indeed. And just take this one. So SubBoomBass, the latest update, maybe you missed that, but we have updated SubBoomBass-2 with some new presets. There are some new sequences with 6/8 grooves. Oh, I know I mess up, of course. And we also have then a new bank, which is the bass psytrance, which only psytrance basses. Or maybe for other ones. And And we made them in 2 versions because we discussed the sidechain and doing it in a different way. There's a video inside the SubBoomBass-2 playlist where you can find a video about this new feature and why I do the sidechain in a different way, which is an option. So I do the sidechain by using the velocity of the synthesizer. Let me see if I can show you this now very briefly again. Yeah, now it doesn't play on this one. Okay, that's a good one. Doesn't play on the one. Give me 1 second, guys. So you see there is no... Here's the sequence with the bass. Yeah, what you hear is my mouse. There's no one. Let me see if I can create... Okay, so you see I'm in the edit page now, and Quantize. Let's do it this way. I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but let's see. Then I need to copy this one, so I might mess up, which left, right. So just 1 bar cycle, 1 bar, okay. Yeah, it doesn't sound well because it's not a nice groove. But what I did is then this is the sound without velocity, and this is the sound with velocity. Oh, where is it again? Yeah, here it is. 22 velocity. Velocity is open, and what you can do then in your sequencer, instead of using sidechain, simply go down with the first bass. Now I really need to play a new sequence. This one is so bad. Give me 1 second. This is not a good example. Let's see if we can do something. And now I use the velocity essentially to... Hey, why is now the sound gone? That's weird. See, the first beat is much slower in volume, and the rest I pump up. I don't know. So instead of using sidechain, I simply use the synth feature. Let's open it. I use the synth feature because in this video I explained shut down the velocity on the filter and then open the velocity in the amp section, so on the volume. So if I shut this again to 0, then you hear the groove this way. But if I open the velocity, the first sound is much softer. The same as if you would use the kick drum as a sidechain on the first beat. But that's very short. Best is to watch this other video. And that's why you have in this bank all these presets which have 2 versions, one with velocity and the other one without velocity. But they're also cool for other music, I mean. And you see they're very dry. There's no no FX, no chorus, because sometimes it's very cool to have a very dry bass. And I also have some, let's see, with Modulation Wheel, which is cool. So the modulation wheel adds the phaser. The phaser is off. It mix is 0, so no phaser, but the modulation wheel opens then the FX mix. So also these presets are inside. So, okay. Tokyo Skyline. Rob, it's possible to build a kit by copying and pasting pads from different kits with their FX. Not really. No. If you want to go from one kit to another, the best thing you can do with Punch-2 is that you essentially work this way, that you, if you have a nice lineup, is that you save your preset you created and save that one. So here you have the option to save a preset. So create your own folder. Essentially, there should be a user folder where you can store this preset. And then you go to the other preset and you load them in. But it's not possible to copy from one kit to another kit. That would be the procedure. So if you have a nice sound, and yeah, very often you see the basic kits what are already here. Many are using these sounds like this one. You see, this is a nice one. That's a preset from the dance folder that you can use, of course, also in another kit. But if you use many of your own sounds, the best is to save your pad preset. So this is a pad preset, and a kit preset is of course your complete kit with the sequencers and all the 24 single drum pads. So that will be the way to copy something over. I'm not sure if this is possible to do, to say here, if you go over a pad, a copy pad, and then what I could try, no, you cannot copy pad. Always a menu. There's always a menu. So you need to stick within this kit preset. It's not a normal copy and paste what you have with text. So you can copy within a drum kit, but not from one kit to another drum kit. So it's a bit more work. Tokyo Skyline in doing this, but yeah, again, check the tutorials about Punch-2. And by the way, the presets on all these things you can find on your Mac computer in applications for Papen Punch-2, and on your PC it's in documents Papen Punch-2. So let me show you this. I open it here. And then we have here Punch-2. You see and also a lot of zip things here from my own, but you will have these folders, and then you have also the folder where all the samples are inside, also the factory samples, which you use on the sample pad. You see here's the user. So here you also could drag and drop your own samples, not only in Punch-2 itself, you can do it, but also by using the browser. And the bank folder is for the drum kits, all the drum kits, you know, what I showed you. But when I have the drum presets are these, and thousands of them. You see, you have bass drum, you see all these subfolders, and user. And user is for your own material. Okay. Yeah, you need to spend a lot of time with Punch-2 to get it all known. Yeah, I totally agree. I see here, by the way, I think something which is, the user should be, here's user. Yeah, drum presets user. Okay. Yeah, I think this one is double. Strange, but whatever. Okay. And yeah, the other thing is, which is also very cool, is the easy page, by the way. If you have a... Oh, this one is not so cool for that. Oh. So that's cool. The easy page is so cool, and you also can record it. So if you have a drum kit, its tempo is a little bit high, but okay, for the example, doesn't matter. So you can say. So you could record it as a essentially as a parameter. Okay, let's play it back. Here it comes. Oh, no, it does loop. No, of course. Stupid me, because I have a very short loop, only one bar. Logic that and the... Yeah, that's the fun with music. You see, you have only one bar. And then, of course, you do the audio recording. It's not a clever thing to do. You need something longer. Let's see if I try this again with Punch. Recording the parameters. Easy page. Okay, let's see what we made. Some noise. I only need 8 bars. So this, the easy page, is essentially a fun page. And you see, I recorded this as automation, and here it pops up in Cubase. And I did something like 8 bars. You see here it pops up. Yeah, I mean, it's... Oh, you say that? Ultra creative. Okay, so, okay. Guys, if you're later in the live stream, I mentioned many times, you always can watch it back in the playlist live stream. Most of the time, the day afterwards, I do also add timestamps so you can find things easy back. A fat bass drum and punch bass drum. I would say, because the models in Punch bass drum are the same inside Punch-2. So instead of starting in Punch bass drum, I simply would say, okay, I take here, because each pad can be anything, that you say, okay, let's take here 6 bass drums in Punch-2 instead of starting with Punch bass drum. So that what I would do. And then, of course, you could sample the cool thing you made. There are many, I think there is a special bank only with bass drums. In the dance bank, maybe, here. Not sure. I need to check that. I think in the hip-hop there are... Yeah, that's all other things. No, I thought that there was somewhere only bass drums, but I'm not sure about that. Oh, that's the 808. No, defense, maybe there. Oh, there, Snare collection. You could do the same and make 6 bass drums and resample that, for instance. So instead of using Punch bass drum, I would say start from Punch-2 right away. Each patch you can select here a bass drum, and maybe you start already with some of the built-in ones and stack them together and add it, and yeah, finish it in Punch-2. Okay. So yeah, that about Punch-2. We hope in the future, of course, doing more presets. There's so much in this inside this machine. You see gongs and FX. Oh, weird sound effects. In film score, you have also kind of weird sound effects. This one. This is a bamboo we use here in the studio, bamboo. It's all called. You see 90 beats per minute. Of course, then you need to set 90 beats per minute to have a nice impression. So the audition is also, when we added the audition, you can trigger them live, you know, this. But it's also, if you hit this note, and here you see it in the black key, audition, then you have also right away a feeling of what is inside this kit. And also here you can go to the easy page. Hear the bass drum, boom. Reset all faders, then it goes back to the original setting. Yeah, there's so much inside of this, guys. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, and then you have, of course, you have this feature, by the way, if you think, okay, this is cool, but you don't want to have, it's a nice snare. This one, you see, this is a nice snare, and you say, I don't want that one to be changed by the tuning. So we thought about that as well, because if you go to this pad, it's pad D1, note D1, you can have here the button easy bypass, which means that if I change the pitch band, it doesn't change the pitch of it. So the easy page has no influence on the snare. So all these kind of, here we have again the water thing. Here's the water. Groove 4 it is. Very little. Groove 4, here we can add it. Yeah, you can experiment, so that doesn't sound well. Yeah, so much. Anyhow, guys, that about Punch-2. Much to tell. I can do hours spanning about Punch-2. And yes, that's a good point. The easy page, people might not discover how creative you can use this, especially if you record the the parameters and use that as a kind of thing inside your music. Absolutely true. So for the creative people, there's much to discover in Punch-2. And yeah, for the ones who missed it, we had this update for SubBoomBass-2 some time ago, and I played these basses. The Psytrance 01. If you see 03 bass, Psytrance 01, then you have the latest versions. We also had new presets in bass presets 06. If you click on order by date, you have the last ones you have here then. Analog 10. Some very nice analog type of bass sound. These are more FM type of sound. Really punchy. With this FM synthesis or phase distortion, essentially phase modulation, you really make it punchy. And we use then the free envelope to control the volume. So the oscillator 1 modulates oscillator 2, its phase. And oscillator 1 doesn't go to the filter. That's why this button is here. So you shut down the oscillator 1 from going into the filter. So it's not in the audio, but it modulates oscillator 2. And then you can use SubBoomBass-2 as essentially as an FM synthesizer with a 2 operator. And then here the envelope is used. You get really from this typical FM sound. So there are new presets. You always then can detect if you press an order by date, and then you got these ones. This one uses Modulation Wheel, so yeah, the beat in the background doesn't fit. So now the Modulation Wheel adds the reverb. Yeah, it does a few new sequence presets. Order by date. I think it's the odds. Six 8 groove. Somebody asked me, how do you make a 6/8 groove? And simply, you instead of 16 steps, you make 12 steps, and then you have a 6/8. 2, 1, 2, 2. Or 3/4, 3/4. It's I think I have a few of them. And this is a very dirty one. Yeah, sure, Punch absolutely has real percussion sounds, lots of them. Yeah, let me show that as last part. Because if you have a sample pad, so we have built-in samples, which are also inside the regular. So if I go to pad here, 1, bass drum, there you see all kind of, and you have, for instance, these type of diverse, then you got really acoustic bass drums. This is the acoustic one. sample. This is really a sample. But also you can select a sample pad. And then if I have the first one, sample pad, you have here, down here, all these samples which are built, but we have, of course, for each pad, a lot of presets. So the sample pad is selected. And then you see we have bass drum, snares, already for UE created presets. So if I click on snares, I have the indie folder snares, all kind of snares. This one, so this one uses, only we did set already all the parameters here for you so that you have all kind of variations, but they use the built-in samples which we install. So these are all samples. So if you say, okay, I want to hear some tabla sounds, here we have all presets of tabla. Other FX percussion, regular percussion, Akogo bells. If you go to one bank, I think it's the percussion and drums, you have all kind of percussion sounds, beat ring, or conga, kabasa, tabla. Plenty of samples on board, percussion and weird stuff. Okay, guys, it was again a pleasure. If you have a question, maybe drop it in the below this YouTube video. If you have maybe an idea for next week, or you have a particular question about one product, or if I should explain particular things, just let me know. And it was fun again to be live again here in the live stream together with you guys. Keep enjoying creating music, and we'll see you next week. Bye.